Hello and welcome. I am Imran Siraj and I am giving you lectures on BTech uh, second semester common to all branches subject WT workshop technology, and right now I am in the fourth unit of this syllabus, welding techniques. That is welding, fourth unit, and we are studying about the welding technologies that we employ in our daily life and in commercial purposes. Yes, in last topic we talked about various welding aspects, and we'll be discussing more about that. Yesterday, in the last topic, we were discussing about polarity. What is polarity? We discussed about direct current electrode negative and direct current electrode positive. So we discussed about two kinds of polarities. We have one when we have electrode connected with the negative terminal, that is anode, and another in which we connect the electrode with the positive terminal, and this is called reverse polarity and this is called direct polarity. So this is called direct current electrode negative or direct polarity, and this is called DCEP or direct current electrode positive or direct polarity. Reverse polarity. In reverse polarity, we connect the electrode with the positive terminal, and also we discussed about how much heat is produced. We have seen that about 2 by third of the heat is generated at the cathode, at the anode, sorry, at the anode. So this is cathode. The electrons are striking at a high speed at the job, and this way 2 by third of the total heat is generated at the anode. So uh, this produces more heat, and when we have less thickness of the metal, and also when we have less temperature, melting temperature of the metals, so what we do, we reverse the polarity in order to save our metals. So we can see this is direct current straight polarity, DC SP straight polarity, also called direct polarity, and we have DCRP direct current reverse polarity. We can see that in this the electrode is connected with the positive terminal called anode. So this was the case for direct currents. So we can see in case of DCSP straight polarity, we have uh, lesser diameter of the electrode because most of the heat is generated at the metal, and metal has the metal the for the joint that is to be welded. So this carries more heat, and uh, heat is concentrated because of this high, because of this less diameter. The heat is concentrated, but it penetrates deeply into the metal, and this way we can weld the metal plates of high metal thickness. Whereas in case of reverse polarity, we take lower thickness of the metals and lower penetration of the heat. So these are two available techniques of direct current in which we reverse the polarity. Another is alternating currents. As we know, in alternating currents, every moment polarity is changing. So uh, initially it is negative, then it is positive, then negative, positive, negative, positive. This is called alternating current. So every moment we are changing because of alternating cycle, sinusoidal currents. We are having change polarities every moment. So this has a medium thickness between DCSP and DCRP. That means we have a medium thickness between these two, direct current and reverse current polarity. We have a medium thickness of the electrode because this the polarity of the electrode is constantly reversing, and this way it has also medium penetration, medium heat penetration as compared to uh, direct current. In direct current, either we have very high penetration or we have low penetration, but in alternating currents, we have medium penetration between these two because here no electrode, electrode is not fixed with the polarity, and every moment it is changing. First, it was negative, then negative, negative, positive, negative, positive. So this, it has medium penetration, and the medium thickness metals can be welded by alternating currents. So this was very important aspect of direct and reverse polarity that we have discussed, and it should be clear by now, I hope. Still you have any problems, you are confused and you are not getting exact concepts, you may get in touch with me at my phone number, and my phone number is 9069 360 400. So now I am coming to the next part. I hope it's clear. Direct polarity, reverse polarity, and alternating currents. There is no polarity because this is a sinusoidal cycle, and every moment the position of the electron flow is changing. So this way, alternating currents have no fixed polarity. Now, this can be seen in straight polarity. We have already discussed the heat produced and penetration and depth. So this is that we have already discussed. So we can see in direct polarity, straight polarity, the electrodes are flowing from here to here, and positrons, positive ions or positrons are moving from negative terminal to positive terminal to negative terminal. So this way, the heat penetration is high, but the depth of dia of pool is less. Whereas in case of reverse polarity, the depth of penetration is less and dia of the pool is high. So the straight polarity or direct polarity has more concentrated heat penetration power and less area is covered, whereas in case of reverse polarity it has less depth and it cannot penetrate more as compared to straight polarity, and it has high dia of wet pool. Application of polarity, as we discussed, with bare light coated and medium coated electrodes. So straight polarity is used for welding with bare light coated and medium coated electrodes, welding the thicker sections in downhand position to obtain more base metal fusion and penetration. Reverse polarity is of course used for uh, two reasons. One, the metals having less melting temperature, and of course those are non-ferrous metals having less melting temperature, and welding of cast iron, where we have lesser heat penetration, where we require lesser heat penetration, welding with heavy and super heavy coated electrodes, positional welding, sheet metal welding. It is not penetrating in depth. So these are all the conditions where we use little thickness, little penetration of the heat, and we require high area of welding. Now, we have two uh, consumable electrodes. We'll discuss about the arc welding processes with consumable electrodes, because we have earlier studied in welding we need three basic elements. One is heat, that is called pulses. Another is uh, pressure, and third is filler metal. First condition is heat is required in all types of welding, because we need heat to fuse the metal, and this way we are joining two metals to form a joint. Then we need pressure, and if pressure is not given, pressure is not supplied, then we need filler metal. So in case of arc welding processes, we have two types of arc welding processes. One are the consumable electrodes, another are the non-consumable electrodes. I discussed earlier that where we require filler metal or pressure is not applied, there we require filler metal, and filler metal could be separate metal from the electrode, and sometimes the electrode is makes itself the filler metal. So the electrode consumes and melts and provides a pool and provides a bridge between parent metals. the two metals that we have to join, and we provide a third metal that is made up of consumable electrode. So we'll see consumable electrode have these types of arc welding. That is one shielded metal arc welding, gas metal GMAW, gas metal arc welding, flux core coated welding, then electro gas welding and submerged arc welding. These welding processes are using consumable electrodes. Submerged arc welding, gas metal GMAW, the shielded metal arc welding, gas metal arc welding, flux cored arc welding, and electroslag and submerged arc welding. So we'll discuss one by one all types of welding. So first we'll discuss about shielded metal arc welding. As the name implies, the metal, the arc is being shielded, uses a consumable electrode consisting of a filler metal rod coated with chemicals that provide flux and shielding, sometimes called stick welding. So why this is called shielded? Because we have discussed earlier that the weld pool or the fused metal needs high protection from the environment, and this way we are not allowing, though this way we are not allowing the molten metal to come in the contact with the environmental oxygen, and this way it should not be able to form metal dioxide M2O. So what we do, we shield the whole weld pool from the environment. So how this is shielded? We use a consumable electrode consisting of a filler metal rod coated with chemicals that provide flux and shielding. So rather than separately using a filler metal, we are we are using the electrode as filler metal, and electrode melts and provides a third metal between two parenting metals, number one. And second role of the electrode is that when it is consumed, when it is when it is fused, and when it is molten, it provides a shield to the molten metal. So this is called shielded metal arc welding, also called stick welding. Uses a consumable electrodes consisting of filler metal rod coated with chemicals that provide flux and shielding. So this is shielded metal arc welding, uses a consumable electrode as well as providing shield to the molten pool. So SMAW, this is the figure of SMAW, shielded metal arc welding. This is the molten weld metal. We are having this. This is called weld pool. This whole area is called weld pool, and this is molten weld metal, molten weld metal or weld pool. This is the base metal or parent metal, and this is solidified metal. So we are direction of travel. The electrode is of consumable type, and it has a coating over it. This coating is responsible for protecting the weld pool from the environment. So we can see here that the direction of weld is from right to left, and we will have to move the consumable electrode from the right to left. And there, when it is consumed, an arc is first of all arc established. As soon as the arc established, the between electrode and the workpiece, at the same time the electrode starts fusing, and it comes into molten form, thus providing a bridge or a third metal between two parents metal, and at the same time it develops a protective gas envelope from electrode coating, and it develops a protective gas because this electrode is consumable of type. When this is consumed, then electrode coating provides, we can see electrode coating provides a protective gas envelope over the whole weld pool, so that the molten metal does not comes in contact with the environment and hence unable to form metal dioxide. We can see here this slag. Slag is the top layer of the impurities that float upon the golden wet pool. So this is the slag and also called bead. So these are the slight impurities in carbon etc. that float on the weld pool and solidified, and so these are visible from the top of the welding joint. So this is the slag. So this is about SMAW, where we have consumable electrode, shielded metal arc welding. So this picture depicts this complete phenomena, and this is very important figure. We can see here the polarity is negative, and it is called straight polarity or direct polarity. So this is the common figure for all types of polarities. Also, it is also applicable to the reverse polarity as well as AC current polarity, where the polarity is not an issue and it's changing every moment upon the direction of the current and sinusoidal waves. So this was shielded metal arc welding. Now welding stick in shielded metal arc, composition of filler metal usually close to base metal. So this is also an important factor. The additional metal or the consumable electrode that is used is almost similar to the base metal or parent metal, and the two metals that we are combining together. So this is welding stick or welding rod is almost similar to the parent metal. Coating: powdered cellulose mixed with oxides and carbonates and held together by a silicate binder. Welding stick is clamped in electrode holder connected to power source. Disadvantage of stick welding or SMAW: stick must be periodically changed because they are consumed at a high rate. High current levels may melt coating prematurely. So we have to control the current at SMAW, because this way we'll be uh, coating. This way will be melting coat earlier than the required, so that would be harmful and that would not create the protective shield at the time of welding. So these are the disadvantages. Applications are steels, stainless steels, cast irons, and certain non-ferrous alloys. Not used for rarely used for aluminium, not used or rarely used for aluminium and its alloys, copper alloys, and titanium, because as we discussed earlier, it is used as a high temperature zone. It is used in high temperature zone and high melting point. So steels and cast irons and other non-ferrous alloys are used. Second is gas metal arc welding or MIG welding, also called MIG welding. GMAW or MIG, metal inert gas. So we don't have to be confused with the name. Either it's GMAW or MIG. We have to understand that these two are same, and sometimes examiner asks GMAW and the other time it's asked MIG. Although MIG is more frequently used term, and MIG welding and TIG welding, another is TIG welding. We'll be discussing tungsten inert gas welding at a later stage. But right now we are discussing MIG welding or GMAW, gas metal arc welding or MIG welding, metal inert gas. So in metal inert gas, the electrode is made up of a metal that is consumable. So consumable bare metal wire or electrode with shielding by flooding arc with a gas. So first thing is that we in GMAW that we use a metal, that electrode that is consumable. Number one. Number two, we use a protective gas environment of inert gases. As we are discussing metal inert gas welding, MIG welding. So protection, as a protection, we are using inert gas uh, for shielding the molten metal from the environment. So this is a combination of molten metal electrode along with neutral gas environment, and neutral gas environment basically covers the whole molten metal. Shielding gas include argon and helium for aluminum welding and CO2 for steel welding. So this way we use inert gas to retain to protect the molten pool from the environment. So this is called, that's why it's called metal inert gas welding, where we use electrode of consumable type of metal, and gas used is inert gas that is used to protect the environment. It is used for it is argon, generally it is argon and helium, and sometimes it is CO2 for steel welding. So steel welding is highly uh, oxygen reducing gas, whereas helium are and argon are inert gases and they don't have any interaction with the molten metal. But in case of CO2, CO2 is basically takes the oxygen also. Uh, it yeah, it combines with the oxygen and takes the oxygen, if any, from the weld pool, and in, includes the whole weld pool. Bare electrode wire plus shielding gases eliminate slag on weld bead. So this way it is highly recommended for steels and as well as non-ferrous metals like aluminum, etc. So we can see bare electrode wire plus shielding gas eliminates slag on weld bead. So this is the reason that we basically use metal inert gas welding. GMW or metal inert gas, we can see the molten metal pool, solidified weld metal, direction of weld, shielded. This is the schematic or the diagram that basically tells that inside we have a wire and electrode wire or electrode that is consumable type that is constantly melting, and we have a power rail driven electrode wire. So the power rail is moving and we are feeding the wire at a constant rate, or we use consumable electrode that consumes at a relative high speed. And of course we have a barrel or shell around this along this electrode, where we where we push the where we compress the inert gas, and this inert gas is protecting the whole environment and the molten metal from the whole environment. So this is nozzle and this is feed from spool. So power rail is there, that is basically giving feed. Then we have electrode wire, shielding gas all around. We have a barrel and this barrel carries the inert gas, and we have a cylinder and compressor that basically compresses the inert gas to come out from this nozzle and protect the whole environment. So this is also called MIG welding, metal inert gas or gas metal arc welding. So we can verify and write down the complete explanation along with equipments with this figure. So this is important figure and all the figures are important. So we have to take care that first of all we draw the construction and then only we write the working and equipments of the question in response to the question. So figure is very important. If we don't make figure, we are going to lose half of the marks of the question, almost half of the marks. Although we write very good, not we can achieve more than 50% or 60% maximum to maximum. So what we should do, we should first of all stick to the photo or stick to the diagram, and we must draw a diagram, clean and clear diagram along with all components. It should be there so that examiner is impressed after watching the figure and he is bound to give more marks. So this is these two we have discussed in today's lecture, and we'll be discussing more in our next lecture. So for the time being, I am signing off. Okay, bye.